while we're already in the topic of Argentina and Libertadores, why don't we go to the report that 2 MLS and 2 Liga MX clubs are going to be given invitations to the Copa Libertadores. The story is essentially that Liga MX doesn't want to go back in. So at some point they were invited and they left and they don't want to go back. So MLS could send 4 teams to the Copa Libertadores. I don't know how prominent it is, but things to think about. What would this mean, Mr. Wright, for a club to go over there and just compete? I'm not saying they win it. I'm not saying they do well. I'm not saying anything. Just to compete in something like this. What do you think?
I don't really know if it makes that much of a difference, to be honest with you, because I guess you got to think about what crowd you're trying to win over. I feel like the crowd that would have the most impact on the league, positive impact to win over, would be more so the Euro snobs rather than the fans in South America who I guess maybe view the league as like a middleman between South America and Europe at this point. But I kind of feel like it would be a similar situation to the Euro snobs, where I guess if we go there and we don't perform well, it just tanks their view of our league even more. And I think it would be tough. I think it'd be tough to go down there and compete. However, obviously, like, that's obviously the risk part of it. The reward is if you go down there and you play well. I think that starts to establish more of a name for our league. But, you know, the Euro snobs aren't really going to follow how MLS teams are doing in the Libertadores. They're not going to really care. They're not even going to know. I highly doubt they even know MLS teams are potentially getting invited. So I think from an MLS stature perspective, it could have some benefits to it, but I still think there's a cap to how much it can benefit the league.
I would tend to argue your comment on they aren't the most important group to try and win over. I mean, if you look at any former MLS player in Argentina, or any time an Argentinian does anything in MLS, they are consistently either bashing the league or making excuses as to why their player wasn't good there. If you can go and convince them that this league is a legit thing, it's a massive starting point. That being said, you have to start somewhere. You know, the Euro snobs are going to exist. The South American snobs, for lack of a better term, will always exist. But if you can start to win some of them over, again, a good result there is a very good thing for us. The other issues that have come up, travel, success, and desire, right? So would a club, if your club had the chance to go win Libertadores and it meant giving up an MLS Cup or a Supporter Shield or an Open Cup, would you do it?
I would do it for an Open Cup. I'd have to think about it a little bit more for an MLS Cup or a Supporter Shield.
I think it's something that we need to do. If we want to win over parts of the world that matter, I think it's something we need to do. I actually have my buddy, the one who I'm wearing this scarf for today, the Barcelona fan, will consistently make comments like, oh, it's just Champions League for CONCACAF. It's not like you're playing in Copa Libertadores. If you could go and play at El Paz in Ecuador, whatever it is, or Argentina, I don't actually know where the stadium is. I don't pay enough attention to it. Then I can give you some credit, but you would never be able to hack it in South America. There are people all over the world who think that we aren't good enough to do other things. And granted, we might not be able to because we've never tested ourselves there. But at the end of the day, I think we need to do it simply for the fact that we need to go and prove ourselves outside of Mexico, Canada, the United States, and then the Gold Cup. Consistently, you've been, I mean, there's this trend of people saying that there needs to be more quality outside of Brazil and Argentinian teams, right? The Venezuelan teams, the Ecuadorian teams, they are not hacking it with the River Plates, with the Palmeiras, with the Boca Juniors. They're not doing it. So they're looking for other teams to make it more competitive and more worthwhile. Spread the tournament to other eyes. I think this is a really good chance to do it.
I don't see what this is really going to do for the league other than people being like, okay, MLS has improved. Like they can kind of hack it with the teams in South America. But, you know, I'm still not going to watch the league. I'm still not going to follow the league. I don't think us participating is necessarily going to bring in this like big wave of viewership and followers to the league. I think it just maybe, I guess, gains a bit more respect in the eyes of the South American fans.
Yeah, I mean, you have to start somewhere if you're going to grow the brand, right? And it's all dependent on what our governing body or you know, those above us, our masters or whatever you want to call them, what they want to do. If they see this as a really good opportunity to grow our league and the logistics work out where they can do it, sure. We got to remember, we also have Leagues Cup against Liga MX. That is now a thing that is running for however long, for whatever reason. It's a stupid idea, but that's happening. So again, you're looking at a Seattle Sounders team, for example, that's going to go deep CCL runs, play all their MLS Cup games, relatively deep US Open Cup runs. Then you got to go MLS playoffs, Leagues Cup if they're in it, and now you're going to throw Copa Libertadores on top of that. You're looking at 60, 70 games a year. That's absurd.
Yeah,
you wouldn't be able to do it. So you'd have to give something up. You'd have to concede something. The travel would be tough, right? You'd have to figure out a way to get your team down to South America and back to play a midweek game against Dallas in 100-degree heat. But here's the thing. I don't think the result there in the first couple of years matters. We need to go and we need to try and test ourselves against better teams, because we notice that there is a trend that is shifting between Liga MX and MLS, right? We're showing that we can compete with them, and eventually we will overtake them. So we will need to take a step forward somewhere. That step forward is Copa Libertadores. And again, you're right. If we go out and we win that tournament year one, does it change anything? No. Nobody's going to step up and be like, oh man, I can't wait to watch Seattle's. You know, nobody on the East Coast be like, man, I'm going to stay up till 10 o'clock every night watching the Seattle Sounders. No, that's not going to happen. But you have a chance to gain respect around the world. Players who are now playing against those teams are thinking, okay, maybe MLS is legit. Maybe I can make a move there and it's not the end of my career, right? The people who like Barco, who are bad-mouthing the league, are probably starting to set back into South Americans' minds like, oh, this is such a bad career move for me. If we can make that move and compete in that tournament and compete well, those $10, $11 million moves become commonplace, especially as we continue to input money into the league and allow people to make bigger transfers. You can make those signings, and it's less of a I need to go for the money and more of a I can use this to jumpstart my career. I think it's an important thing that if again, and this is a very, very broad, like may not ever happen type of it's from this thing called Golasso, which I've heard is a very non-reputable source. But if it's at all any bit true, I say we send it.
I still don't. I'm still not on board with it. I mean, Seattle lost basically the entire first quarter of the MLS season, battling it out in CCL, and are now finally able to focus just on the league and are starting to regain their league form. If you now tell them that they have to go to Argentina and Brazil and compete in Copa Libertadores, you're basically sacking an entire half of the season. Like they're gonna probably have to tank another quarter of the league season because they're going to be focusing on the other tournament. I mean, I just looked up the schedule. They play in round of 16 in June and July, like late June, early July. So, I mean, that's like, you're still dead smack in the middle of the season. So you're kind of picking your battles there. Are you saying, like, for the fans at home for Seattle, hey, we're just going to tank games at home because we're going to focus on the games in Argentina and Brazil? I don't know if that's necessarily fair to their fans, the ones that actually show up to the games, just so that they can get some more reputation in Argentina and Brazil. I don't know. I'm not sure I'm on board with it, to be honest. I think not, and certainly not with the payroll restrictions that are in place right now. These teams aren't deep enough for this. I would be concerned with, like you said, how many games Seattle has to play. Because obviously, you know, if they're going to this, they're not just going to erase the games that they have to play in the league. They're going to have to make them up at another point in time. In which case, they're going to be like, they're going to have double game weeks on double game weeks on double game weeks. So there's a lot of logistics to work out. And I just feel like at this moment, it would be, there's the risk that it would do more harm than good in my mind.
I think the right answer is to better the obviously things that we've talked about, right? Better your roster build, allow spending more freely, right? But the right answer is to make CONCACAF Champions League more respectable, or Leagues Cup more respectable, not travel to different continents to play in their tournaments, right? But at the end of the day, if we have the chance to do it, even just once or twice, if we can compete well, let's do it. Let's see what happens. You know, at the end of the day, if we don't do it, people are going to say, "Oh, I'll never respect you until you do it." Now we do it. It's either going to be, "Oh, wow, you guys played like crap. I told you so," or it's going to be, "Oh, you guys got lucky once. You know, do it every time like River Plate or Boca." It's going to be excuses no matter what. So let's just send it.
If it's going to be excuses no matter what, why are we going in the first place? We're just wasting time then, because they're not going to change their opinion on MLS at that point.
I think we've been doing this podcast too long, because at one point we were like, yeah, let's do it. Everybody's going to come onto our side. And now we're like, screw this. It already sucks. This is our league. Everybody go away.
If the timing was better, or if you found a way to make the schedule more feasible.
Ask me in 5 years when we have 12 DP slots.
I mean, but the issue is we're going to have 45 teams that they're going to have to play throughout the season. Not going to have any time for this.
Super teams, baby. Let's go.
Let's take the Super League. We're going to move it to North America and South America.
Let's take the Super League. You can move it somewhere else. All right. Let's finish this off really quick. And then we have to talk men's national team off camera. The starting lineup just got leaked for the match against Morocco tomorrow.
You just dropped the starting lineup for a match tomorrow?
Yeah. Univision or TDUN or TUDN just tweeted out the starting 11, and Greg Berhalter confirmed Matt Turner, Reggie Cannon, Walker Zimmerman, Aaron Long, Anthony Robinson, midfield three of Adams, Musa, Aronson, Weah, Ferreira, Pulisic. For a friendly. I'll send it to you. For a friendly.
He's trying to make the last tweaks before the World Cup.
Sure, I get it.